Hello.
Where did I put those quest files?
Well, hello there. It isn't often that I'm allowed to lay my eyes upon such a handsome specimen. While the temple isn't taking on new students, perhaps you wish to rendezvous at the inn for a more personal lesson.
Well, I don't think flying.
And you're my kind of patron. Perhaps we shouldn't twine our bodies here and let poor Sena watch. Or perhaps we can adjourn to a more private location and suckle on oysters marinated in the potion of the stallion. But perhaps we should get to know each other first. Unless you prefer to remain strangers. Some do. Aggressive and passionate. I'm intrigued by you. Let's hope for your sake and mine that you're a flame that burns both bright and long, for most can only be one of the two. I've heard that in the heat of coitus, depraving a partner of air can increase sensation and pleasure. I've talked to the sisters about developing similar techniques based on the use of paralysis spells, but none of us are well versed in alteration. The same way a fighter becomes a soldier, or a plant lover becomes an alchemist. The desire boiled within me before I flowered. But I was no fool. Men do not respect those who tarnish their bodies for pleasure or coin. Thankfully, there was a woman in my town who practiced the Dibellan arts. One who attached legitimacy to what I believed were primal instincts. After all, Dibella is also the goddess of artistry, beauty, and love. And while none of these things fell into my range of expertise, to simply wear the robe is to own those attributes by proxy. Mother Hamal, of course, saw right through my ruse, but I was able to persuade her that my talent in the erotic arts justified my entry into her service. If only more people in Skyrim shared your sentiments. It irks me how merchants of death are allowed to parade around town, their swords dripping with the blood of their last victim. Whereas, if I were to sell something as beautiful and as satisfying as the art of love, I would be hauled off in chains. Thankfully, there was another option beside the iron bars of prison and the shackles of marriage, although my father did try his best to have me wed. A nobleman's son, he said, one whom he'd befriended while tending to his horse. It seems the boy had come to the stables to seek my hand,
Don't know who's worse,
for he had fallen hopelessly in love with
people who
me.
outright try to stab your back, or the ones who say they're friends, then stab your back.
Not immediately. It isn't every day someone is offering the hand of a wealthy noble. It certainly piqued my interest. That is, until my father made the mistake of describing him. Suddenly, the boy's reason for courting one such as myself was clear. My father told me the boy was smart, wealthy, and good with the sword. He said he was well-spoken, courteous, and refined. It's no different when Kira boasts about the frame of her pendants. When the jewel is set in the center, it is a worthless stone. Some will tell you everything that's wonderful about what they're selling, except that one thing you want to know. The boy was not handsome. Well, he might have been, if not for that elbow he called a nose. Mother Amal and the other sisters are more than capable of finding the rut who will be our next Sybil. Although it seems to me we need not a Sybil to guide us along the path of passion. We need only listen to our bodies. For it's the moistness of our mouths, the throbbing of our hearts, and the warmth of our loins that Dibella truly speaks to us. You can guess for yourself which part I listen to the most. You are beginning to sound like a Sybil of Dibella. Perhaps Mother Hamal's vision was incorrect. I once listened to my mind. It told me to read a book. And I was never so bored. If only you were there to rescue me from my folly. That disease was quite pernicious, and I was forced to find my own cure. Thankfully, the local guards and miners were more than happy to oblige. Of that you can be certain. Even in the winter of my life, when my skin is a spray of dead leaves and my hair is snowed, I will be here. And there will be those who seek my blessing. Men and women, both old and young. Mother Hamal can attest to that. The goddess of beauty and love, and the best the divines have to offer. For what is more sacred and more honest than the love of beauty? Mara is the mother goddess. It's a different thing to love one's mother than to love one's wife. When couples marry, they seek the blessing of Mara, so that familial love will blossom from the seed of their romance. Yet, make no mistake, it is Dibella who brought them together, and Dibella who will make their family whole. Although, not all here will share my opinion. Some believe we should focus on art and beauty, and sever all ties with the concept of love. I do find that a good argument does lead to nights of intense passion, but mostly behind closed doors, unfortunately. Although the problems tend to still be there in the morning, I do wish my sisters would be more honest with their interpretations of beauty. Some of them feel a moral obligation to find beauty in all things, but that is a contradiction. If all things are beautiful, then nothing is beautiful. But if they insist, I will take my books and wenches, melodic bards and chiseled warriors, and they can have the beggars like Degain. Well, many of the sisters interpret love and beauty differently than I. To some, there is beauty to be found in all things. They see a withering mountain flower and find it as beautiful as a lavender in full bloom. They point to how decay represents the impermanence of life, and how that is both artful and beautiful. This logic is fundamentally backwards. A short life does not mean we should dwell on death, nor should the ephemeral nature of beauty mean we should focus on decay. But if they insist on finding ugly things beautiful, I suppose it will just mean more well-built specimens will spend their nights in my chamber. The other sisters will just have to find beauty in my leftovers, or beggars like Degain. I'd love to hear Ola explain what exactly is so beautiful about him. The ardor with which the miners pray to Dibella is quite amusing. Men will pray to a goblin if they thought it would earn my favor. A young dark elf was in here the other day, but Cena turned him away. Oh, the things I would have done to him.
What? Gold is gold.
Until next time.
The sisters are communing with Dibella. They can't be disturbed. You'll have to come back. The sisters are communing with Dibella. They can't be disturbed. You'll have to come back another time. I'm sorry, the Temple of Dibella is closed. You can receive your blessing if you wish, but the other sisters are in seclusion. A heathen. Lovely. Oh, don't put on that angry look. I'm just teasing you. Dibella is the divine of beauty. She is a patron deity to artists and bards and those who seek life's simple pleasures. The temple offers her blessings to pilgrims, and instruction in enjoying all life has to offer. Well, you are lovely to look at, and there's so many things I could teach you, but I'm afraid the temple isn't taking in new students. The sisters are communing with Dibella. They can't be disturbed. You'll have to come back another time.
Impressive headgear. Although, missing some hair now, are we?
Huh?
What are you doing in here? Stay where you are. The Mother will deal with you. Here she is.
And just what do you think you're doing? Unfortunately for you, we don't allow men into the inner sanctum. You have committed a breach and must pay the penalty. Normally, a quick death. Luckily for you, there are more pressing matters. We could make an example of you, but perhaps you could be put to better use.
Or the mind.
The ceremony you so rudely interrupted was the exalted protocol of the Dibellan Sybil. I don't expect you to know what that means. Suffice to say that our Sybil was recently lost to us. Through the protocol, we have seen the home of the next Sybil, to the north in a small village pressed against the stone. If you can travel there and retrieve our young Sybil, your transgression will be forgiven. We believe the place in our vision to be Karth Waston. Now move quickly. The girl must be brought to the temple as soon as possible. Have you heard of the blessing of Dibella? It can help you with the wooing of women if that's your aim. Or give you strength if you happen to offend one. Typically, we avoid bestowing it upon men, but for the Sybil's escort, we could make an exception. The Sybil of Dibella spends her entire life in direct communion with the goddess. From the time she's a little girl to the moment she expires, she is a direct connection with the Heavenly Mother. From her reverie, we know the mind of our God. We have had a vision of the next Sybil, living in a village to the north. She must be brought to the temple for her reverie to begin. We prefer not to announce that the Sybil has died until we can introduce the new one. People like to know that we're connected to the goddess. It's considered a great honor for the family. Their daughter will never know hardship, and the goddess blesses them with great bounty. Until next time.
much farther do we have to run? I should have worked on my cardio.
Oh my. It isn't often that I'm allowed to lay my eyes upon such a handsome specimen.
We've stopped. What is it?
Did I file the combat records yet? I'll double check. Did I file the impressive. Although, missing some hair now, are we?
Watch your tongue, native. We'll leave when we're sure there's no Forsworn here.
Oh, and when would that be, I wonder? When I sell my land to the Silverbloods?
The Silverbloods have made you a very generous offer for this pile of dirt. I suggest you take it.
Uh-oh. Ow.
When will
Ow,
some
ow,
more
ow.
rock mine be open?
Cramp.
I don't know. Whenever those Silverblood men decide to leave. You should talk to Einethach if you have business with the mine. Not that there's much these days. I think you might be looking for Enman. All right then.
The alchemist in Skyrim will buy anything that comes in a potion bottle. Can you believe I made money by urinating in a bottle and calling it potion of youth? I had to stop though, when I got chased out of town by the shop owner.
You're not from here, and we don't need to be talking.
I don't like bunking with orcs. It's not—
Damn it, man, are you trying to taunt us?
If you want me to leave, you could challenge
Our
me to a
daughter,
fight.
Theotra, was
I
taken
promise
from
to
you.
stop what you've lost.
The Forsworn descended, and they didn't touch anything else, just our little girl.
I love having an orc here in the barracks. They're so—
It was the Forsworn from Broken Tower. Never been much trouble before. What's it to you? She... Really? Well, that's... I wouldn't have dreamed. Of course we need her in Markarth, then. I'll come with you. You're probably right. Just hurry, please. Who knows what those things are doing to her?
Hey there, Dragonborn. Ready for battle, I see.
Sure.
All over now.